Hello guys, and welcome to this episode of Country Walks. We started off in Depot Road in Horsham, made our way up to Hampers Lane, which is a nice little bit of countryside, and from Hampers Lane we wandered through St Leonards Forest and ended up at the Dragon pub in Colgate. From there we wandered down the road a bit and then went straight back into the woods and cut through Buchan Country Park. Then we crossed the main Crawley Road into Ifield, and from there we had a little stop at the Ifield Mill Pond, and from there we cut through the countryside near Faygate and ended up at the Frog and Nightgown. And from the Frog and Nightgown was a bit of a wiggly path back to Horsham. In total it was about 15 miles. Let's just get on with it. It looks like St Leonards Forest got its name in the early 1200s. Most likely it was named after a chapel built by the lords of the area at the time, the de Breaus family. They created a chapel called St Leonard's Chapel, not sure if it's still there, and basically that gave the forest its name. I mean, the forest was much bigger at the time. St Leonard himself was a French saint from Limoges in France. St Leonard was a favourite of the de Breauses, and he was a patron saint of slaves, captives and prisoners. At this point we're just crossing Mick Mill's race. It's basically a long straight bridleway through the woods. It often gets called Mick Miles's race, or Mick Miles race, because it's approximately a mile long. On the OS maps it's always shown as Mick Mill's race. The legend has it that Mick Mills was a smuggler who raced the devil along this track for his soul, and Mick Mills won. They ran so fast apparently that the track caught fire, and that's why there's no trees on it and it's a track. At this point we're kind of on the way to Colgate. Colgate's kind of an interesting place historically. A local newspaper even mentioned it in an April Fool's joke in a kind of convincing report about it being where toothpaste was mined. Although in reality Colgate is kind of a family name, but the etymology of that family name might pertain to local history. The Col part means coal or charcoal, and the gate part could mean an entrance to or a path or a way. I think the word gate has kind of changed over time. Of course it would have been pronounced something like Colgate, but in the past it may have just meant one of the numerous entry points to the forest. The charcoal idea in the name also makes sense because charcoal is a key ingredient when processing ironstone to make wrought iron, and there were numerous furnaces and hammer ponds in this area. Indeed, I often forget this area is inside the Weald, which is roughly the area between the North and the South Downs, and there were literally hundreds of areas related to iron mining and smelting. The region sort of offers decent rivers and streams for powering hammers and the bellows required. We'll take a quick look later at one of the hammer ponds. These are the new boots. Carrymores, yeah?
They are Carrymore Orkneys, apparently.
So how do you think they've done? We're about halfway around the route. Maybe a bit less.
They're all right.
Yeah?
And that's what I'm going to say.
That's all you're going to say?
Yeah, no, they're not perfect. They are slightly uncomfortable around the padding at the top here. But the soles and everything else are very good. Vibram. Worth the 70 quid, I would say.
Good.
That's my in brief. I would have been disappointed if I'd paid the full 140 for them.
Fair enough. Another new pair of boots, isn't there? Here?
Oh yeah.
Let's have a look.
Pride and joy.
These required a second mortgage or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And
yeah, they're quite expensive. I'm not going to say how much. They're £100.
How many?
£100.
Really?
Yeah. They're really comfortable. I've gone a size up just to allow for socks and such and such. They're the Mindel Buchan something or other, MTX, I think. I don't know what they're called. Full leather, nubuck leather. I've just worn them for the first time, apart from wearing them around the house. They're pretty good, comfortable. Vibram sole again. There's only a little bit of discomfort here, which I think is the tongue. But like I say, no bedding in at all yet, so hopefully they'll just become more comfortable with age.
Cool.
And I can live with them for years and years and years.
I mean, we've only done sort of a third of the walk, half the walk, something like that. So it's hard to sort of measure them really over time. But what do you think? Would you say they're worth the money so far?
Well, I sincerely hope so.
You can't really do a walk through St Leonards Forest without mentioning dragons. They seem to be inexorably linked. I remember hearing about them as a kid. Of course, over the years, these things have got very confused. There's been St George and the dragon. There are legends about St Leonard, suggesting that he killed a dragon in the forest. The possible source of the dragon idea in Horsham probably came from a pamphlet that was published in London in 1614, which says the following.
In Sussex there is a pretty market town called Horsham. Near unto it a forest called St Leonards Forest, and there, in a vast and unfrequented place, heathy, vaulty, full of unwholesome shades and overgrown hollows, where this serpent is thought to be bred. But wheresoever bred certain and too true it is, that there it yet lives. Within 3 or 4 miles compass are its usual haunts, oftentimes at a place called Faygate, and it hath been seen within 1/2 mile of Horsham, a wonder no doubt most terrible and noisome to the inhabitants thereabouts. The serpent, or dragon as some call it, is reputed to be 9 feet or rather more in length, and shaped almost in the form of an axle-tree of a cart, a quantity of thickness in the midst and somewhat smaller at both ends. The former part, which he shoots forth as a neck, is supposed to be an ell long with a white ring, as it were of scales about it. The scales along its back seem to be blackish, and so much as is discovered under his belly appeareth to be red. For I speak of no nearer description than of a reasonable ocular distance, for coming too near it hath already been too dearly paid for, as you shall hear hereafter. He will cast his venom about 4 rod from him, as by woeful experience it was proved on the bodies of a man and a woman coming that way, who afterwards were found dead, being poisoned and very much swelled, but not preyed upon. Likewise a man going to chase it, and, as he imagined, to destroy it with 2 mastiff dogs, as yet not knowing the great danger of it, his dogs were both killed, and he himself glad to return with haste to preserve his own life.